All right, guys, welcome back here. So I just want to run through a little bit of this new multiplayer third-person gameplay template. End of last year, right after Unite, Unity released a couple of new multiplayer templates. This one is the multiplayer third-person gameplay template, and there's also a new multiplayer first-person shooter template out there. There's a lot going on in this particular template, so we're just going to skim over just the project structure here, and a little bit of what's going on in this template. This is using netcode for game objects, and well, let's just start by where you actually get it from. I'm using Unity 6.3.2 LTS, and when you open up in the hub here, when you start a new project, you will see the multiplayer third-person gameplay template and also the multiplayer FPS template. You can read here the version number here is 1.0.8. They are updating these templates fairly regularly, more than I've seen them update templates in the past. So it's good to keep an eye on the changelog here. And speaking of, we can look at in the package manager. Here in the package manager, you'll see the multiplayer third-person gameplay here and what got added and changed and stuff. So if you downloaded it when it first came out, you might want to try to update it so you get the latest changes here. Okay, so in the docs, that will show up in the README here. Here, when you open up the view tutorials, this will take you over onto the Unity docs here. And we're just going to go through a little bit of the actual project structure and how all of this works. So it's broken up into three parts. There is a core, the platformer, and the shooter portion. You might also see blocks here. This is the multiplayer building blocks that we went over a few months back. Just an easy way to get multiplayer UI stuff going. The core here contains your basic foundation of both the shooter and platform sections here. So this is stuff like your inputs and movement, the camera system, the basic networking. There's the stat system is in core as well. Another thing to point out real quick here is that this template has gone pretty heavy into the scriptable object architecture. So they created scriptable object events, and each one of these is kind of an event channel that you can subscribe to. Your stat system is also scriptable objects here. We'll go deeper into the core and the other features of this template a little bit later. But for now, I just wanted to make sure that people know that this exists and exactly what is going on in these in this template here. So each section here has its own test scene. So if you want to just open up the core here, this is really just a little platform and player spawners and network managers. So if we were to hit play here, this one just has the start host, start client building block here. And in our multiplayer play mode, we can start host. Oh, that's loud. Here. So that's the core. And in the multiplayer sessions, this is basically the same, but we have session building blocks here. This will start a relay session to join. Okay. The platformer, similarly structured. You have the base platformer, which is just your client server stuff, and then the multiplayer sessions that has the sessions building block. Really need to turn that down. So here we just have regular WASD movement. You can shift to sprint, jump. You have a stamina system there at the bottom. That's the red bar, I think. The green bar is your health. You have a moving platforms and the obstacles and coins. Well, that really bugged out. All right, so the way that the players are set up, here we go. They're using just the base character controller here, network object, and we have these component controller and player manager. There's also a movement. Yeah, so your core input, core movement, core stat handler, player state. So these are all kind of have the same kind of pattern here, that all of your abilities, movement and otherwise, have these manager classes that have interfaces for different modules that they can be added to said managers here. So for the player add-on here, we can have a like shooter add-on, platformer, this kind of thing. This will add different abilities to the player in order to create different types of gameplay. But without having to go in and mess with the main player manager, you just create a new add-on and add that ability to the player. Same for the movement. You have movement abilities. So this is your jumping and moving around abilities. If you wanted to have like a jetpack or something like that, you can create an ability for that, which listed in the docs. There's some examples on how to add different abilities, different weapons. We'll look at the shooter example here in a second. And the weapons kind of do the same thing. They all have a firing mechanism and a shooting behavior. But we'll look into more on how these all operate and can be customized in a future video here. So let's look at the shooter part. All right, the shooter is on a different level. But you can see here so here we also have the core player manager. This one has the shooter add-on and also the weapons HUD here. And this is part of the shooter add-on. For shooting, there is left click is shooting, right click is aiming. I believe that's right. R is the reload, and the 1 and 2 keys will cycle through your weapons. So here we have our rifle, aim, to reload. handgun, shotgun. Grenade launcher. And again, we can sprint with shift. Interactable here for jump pad. Okay, and I think that's all we can do here. Okay. That is the basics of what is actually going on in this particular template. In I guess the next video, I'll just quickly go through the multiplayer FPS template. That one is using netcode for entities with a game objects layer on top of it. That's really interesting, and see how they did that. Apparently, that's the same thing that they used for their survival kids game that they just released last year through Konami. But yeah, the next one on this template will go over the ability system and how to add new abilities and new weapons and stuff. So yeah, we have a global game jam coming up here at the end of the month. So if you are local in town, come join us at the University of Memphis on January 30th. Details are on our meetup page and on the Global Game Jam page. And with that, we will see you guys next time.